In today's prac, you need to do a number of steps to set up all the equipment required to complete this task. Some of the key pieces of equipment that we will be using today is a bacterial filter for the subject to breathe in, as well as nose clips to make sure that all exhale gases are being collected. This air is ultimately collected into Douglas bags, which are these silver bags, as you can see here. We need 6 bags for today, which will be labelled either as with rest 1, work rates 1, 2 and 3 to signify the 3 different work rates and gas collection periods through it whilst the subject is cycling, as well as recovery 1, which represents the first minute of recovery at the cessation of cycling, and recovery 2, which is the final 2 minutes of the 5 minutes of recovery. We also need to monitor the heart rate of the subject, A, to make sure that they are not that this exercise is not overly stressful for them, but 2, to make sure that the exercise is inducing an expected cardiovascular response, and that heart rate should be increasing the harder they work. You'll see here with our subject V that this is the one type of way of monitoring heart rate, which is using an old school chest strap attached with a watch, which is the display unit. Likewise, you can use your own wrist device to monitor heart rate. From here, we will have Kira Cloud running on a laptop, which is then connected to a power lab. This power lab is connected to this setup that you see here, which includes a one-way valve for breathing, a flow head and the spirometry pod to detect the volume of air inhaled and exhaled, as well as the respiratory rate of breathing. And from here, these will ultimately be then connected up to the Douglas bags to collect the air being exhaled. On closer inspection, you'll see that the one-way valve is a T-piece where the air being inhaled into the subject enters the system via the left-hand white tube you see there, and then when the subject exhales, all the air is being directed into the right-hand channel through the tube and then in towards the Douglas bags. We need to set up the bike, and this is today's bike. It's a recline bike, just like any standard bike you see in the gym. From here, the subject would need to adjust like they would normally do at any other time to make sure they are comfortable and in a position where they can pedal without being in discomfort. It's also a self-powering bike, so to do all the programming, we need to start pedaling. Today's prac will be using constant watts, so irrespective of the cadence of which the subject is pedaling at, the amount of work being performed is standardized. And so we will press the constant watts button, and then from here, follow the instructions on the bike to adjust. The final period, you'll see that we need to adjust and we'll program in our starting target, which is 25 watts, in this case, the lowest amount on this bike. Now that the bike is set up, we now need to make sure that all of our respiratory data acquisition equipment is ready to go. So firstly, we need to attach the antibacterial filter to the setup for the subject to breathe into. You can see here, we obviously want to make sure that the mouthpiece is in the right direction and that the subject is able to breathe comfortably while cycling. Adjust if necessary. The next stage, we also need to zero the pod in Kira Cloud, and that's a simple just following the next lot of instructions that's in your lesson.